Yeah, the Surfer Surfer. Yeah, the Surfer Surfer. It's the Comics Review Show with the Surfer Surfer. Greetings, sculpture lovers. 'Tis I, the Sofa Surfer. In today's installment, we'll be looking at Fantastic Four 554 to 557. Final Crisis number 1. The original graphic novel Cairo. And from 1973, Shazam number 5. The original Captain Marvel. Alright, let's kick things off with Mark Millar and Bryan Hitch's first 4 issues of Fantastic Four. Now, full disclosure here, Fantastic Four is my favorite Marvel comic. I always want to see it do well. I even like the movies. But I truly believe that Millar, Hitch, Neary, and company has brought their A game to this title, with writing that is fresh and modern, and illustrations that are fantastic, to state the obvious. However, I also think that Millar pulled a very calculated risk with this. He has buried the lead of his story so well that while you're reading these first 4 issues, you're kind of thinking, is that it? Is there just a little more to this? It's great to look at and fun to read, but I'm just, is there more? Yes, there is more, a ton more. And it comes up in the 4th issue when Millar does his huge reveal. It's a punchline that will just knock you off your feet, and it's just great. So, reading it from month to month, this approach may have been a detriment, but for those of you experiencing it in the trade form, which I'm sure you will, a lot of you will, sitting in one reading is hugely satisfying. So, Fantastic Four, once again, the world's greatest comic magazine. Alright, next up is Final Crisis number 1 of 7, written by Grant Morrison and ably illustrated by J.G. Jones. Okay, I have to be very upfront here. There was very little about this book that would make me want to continue reading the entire miniseries. Call me old-fashioned, but I am a student of the Jim Shooter School of Thought when it comes to creating comics, and I've created my own rules of thumb when it comes to it, and one of my rules of thumb is the reader should never have to work harder than the writer. And anyone reading this has really got to work. Maybe it all would come together at the end, but I just could not go on with this. Now, I don't want everyone to think that this is a bash DC show. Not at all. I could go on at length about the perfection and the flawlessness of All-Star Superman, but everyone else is doing that, so I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon. But I would like to talk about something else that I think is really great. And that something is the original graphic novel Cairo from Vertigo. I have only good things to say about this because I feel this is the promise of the graphic novel fulfilled. It has so much going for it. Not only is it a good story with a beginning, middle, and end, there's no filler in any page. Every page is in service to the story and pushes the story along, but it also introduces us to another culture and another mythology, which is, we can be so insulated in this country that it's very hard for us to accept another culture on its own terms. And that's one of the many things Cairo has going for it. This wonderful graphic novel was written by G. Willow Wilson and illustrated by M.K. Perker. As far as Miss Wilson, I understand she has another graphic novel out called, I believe, Air, and you can bet your bottom dollar I will be reading that too. Alright. And finally, my love of comics was ignited when I was 10 years old when my parents bought me a 3-pack containing The Joker's 5-Way Revenge by Neil Adams, Legion of Superheroes number 197 with the redesigned costume for Timberwolf, and Shazam number 5, the original Captain Marvel. Oh, how I love how you could put the original Captain Marvel on the cover somewhere back then. Anyway, it is truly a charming book, very much of its time, illustrated by the highly underrated C.C. Beck. When I say underrated, look at these wonderful caricatures of Archie Bunker and Edith. Remember, this was a new show back then. Also, though, the true treasure is in the back with a reprint of a Captain Marvel Jr. story from around 1950, maybe late 40s. Oh, it is just beautiful, and illustrated by Mac Raboy. I mean, could you imagine, even today, what a Mac Raboy illustrated Legion of Superheroes would look like, or a Teen Titans? Everyone says they're looking for books that would appeal to both adults and children. I think just looking at this would really be informative. I call this part of the show back to the long box, or maybe Blast from the Past. But on each installment, we're going to go back to the books that shaped my love of comics. Well, that's it for now. I hope you'll join us again next time. And I remain the Sofa Surfer.